very good afternoon to you and welcome to Papalo News right here at Papalo Radio. Now, stories making headlines on the continent and, of course, in the country. Kennedy Japan confident of victory as he picks up NPP flag bearer forms. Ghana is likely to receive the first tranche of $300 million by September, and this is from Frank Laporte. One dead, several houses burnt in renewed clashes between Gonja and Mamprusi tribes. Bakavomawo refuses to state his plea as he's slapped with fresh treason charges. No fresh election in Ketu North. NDC rejects call by concerned delegates. Pensioner Bondholders Forum to meet Finance Ministry over unpaid coupons. Shatawale react to calls for FBI probe over his affiliation with Hajia for real. We go for a quick commercial break, and when we return, I'll bring you the news and details. Do stay. Welcome back. Now the news in detail. The new Patriotic Party flag bearer hopeful Kennedy Ohene Japan is confident of emerging victorious in the party's flag bearer election. His team made this known after picking up his nomination forms at the NPP headquarters in Accra on Thursday. The flag bearer hopeful, who is also the Central Member of Parliament, becomes the 9th person to have picked up the forms since the party opened nominations. In an interview, the campaign manager for Kennedy Japan, Kwame Owusu, indicated that the grassroots of the party is attracted to what he described as the disciplinary nature of the candidate. Honorable Kennedy Japan does not stand for indiscipline. Honorable Kennedy Japan is honest in terms of his dealing with the country. So most of the time, if you hear him talking loud or making it a case, it is what people would come in and say he is not conforming, and this is from his campaign manager. Now to the next story. World Bank Country Director of Ghana to Ghana, Pierre Frank Laporte, says Ghana is likely to receive the first tranche of $300 million from the World Bank if the two are able to finally reach an agreement on the conditionality. According to him, the government needs to present a strong reform package before the World Bank will release the $300 million facility, which is expected to serve as budget support. The $300 million is the first tranche of the $1 billion facility the World Bank has extended to Ghana over a 4-year to support the country's budget while it's under the IMF program. Pierre Laporte noted that should the government and the World Bank reach an agreement, the first tranche of the money will hit the country's accounts by September of this year. He noted that there are 4 key pillars in Ghana's economy that need urgent reform. He further noted that the government will need to introduce huge reforms in the energy sector and fast. He's hopeful that the IMF World Bank program will accelerate those reforms. Now to the next story. One person has been reported dead and several others injured in renewed clashes between members of the Gonja and Mamprusi tribes at Lukala in the North Gonja district in the Savannah region. The deceased is a 70-year-old Mamprusi chief of the Kuwerigu community, Na Salifu Nachina. He was reportedly shot dead at his house by gunmen. The violence erupted on Thursday dawn following days of tension in the community over a pending arrival of a rival from Dabuya in the Wisepe traditional area. The clash between traditional warriors from the Wasipi traditional area in Dabuya and the Seoul traditional area in Janga has reportedly left several houses burnt. Unconfirmed reports suggest that the clash has extended to nearby villages. Speaking with the regional minister for Savannah region, Said Jibril, explained that the problem began in 2019. 2 traditional paramountcy are claiming ownership of the land. One person is reportedly dead and he was from Mamprusi. He said the police are manning the place to restore calm. Before the Savannah and Northeast regions were carved out of the Northern region, there were people in the Lukula community in the North Gonja district who wanted the community to belong to the Northeast region, despite the fact that the area fell within the Savannah region. The next story, Fix the Country convener Oliver Barker-Vormawor has exercised his right under Ghana's laws to refuse to indicate whether he is guilty or not guilty in the fresh treason felony charges leveled against him. Section 238 of Ghana's Criminal and Offences Procedure Act 1950 subsection Act 30 permits to refuse to plead to a charge against him. The court therefore entered a not guilty plea in its records. The youth activist is accused of plotting to overthrow the government and was previously arraigned on the charge of treason felony. His lawyers got to the court to agree there were legal charges with the processes filed against him. The Attorney General, as a result, filed fresh charges. The new charges were read to the youth activist on Thursday. The leadership of the National Democratic Congress has stated that the party will not hold a rerun of the parliamentary primaries in the Ketu North constituency. This comes after a group of concerned delegates in the constituency expressed dissatisfaction with the declaration of a parliamentary candidate by the National Executive Committee without a rerun of the tied vote in the recent party primaries. The NDC primaries held on May 13, 2023 resulted in a tie of votes between candidate John Adanuzewu and Edem Agbana, with both candidates receiving 358 votes after 2 recounts and the discovery of some unstamped ballots. The National Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustapha Gbande, said the party will treat the demands of the dissatisfied members as a request for reconciliation and cannot afford to organize fresh elections in the constituency. As a result, any other issue will be considered as a reconciliation effort because the party has not even been aware of the petition of the nature of the job. The party has moved on and he says they are now preparing the elected candidate to win the seat. Mr. Mustapha Gbande also stressed that the NDC will not accept any attempt by the New Patriotic Party to engage in vote buying before or during the upcoming Assin North election. Edem Agbana was declared the winner of the May 13 primaries after he and his closest contender, John Adanu, tied with 360 votes, each following the discovery of 3 unstamped ballots. John Adanu welcomed the declaration of Edem as the winner on May 16. The Pensioner Bondholders Forum will meet with the Finance Ministry to discuss the ministry's failure to settle matured coupons and principals. The group resumed picketing at the Finance Ministry on Thursday, explaining that the decision was made because the ministry had failed to engage them on payment plans. The government has also failed to fulfill its previous assurances to the group. According to the group, the Finance Ministry has yet to pay matured coupons on their May 15th and subsequent maturities. Members of the forum suspended their picketing on May 12 after meeting with the Finance Ministry to have all outstanding coupons paid. However, after weeks of waiting to engage with the Finance Ministry to develop a payment roadmap, the pensioner bondholders say they have not heard back from the ministry, so they resumed picketing. Now to the last story, which is entertainment. Dancehall musician Shatta Wale is surprised that some people are calling on the U.S. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, to investigate him following the arrest of his friend and colleague Muna for real. Speaking in a video on Facebook, the musician found the request preposterous, stating that he works hard as an artist to make a decent living. He lamented that people reacted the same way when the CEO of his former label Xylophone Music, Nanapia Mensah, was arrested, as if to suggest he would go penniless after the Men's Gold saga. Shatta Wale said as soon as he and Nanapia Mensah, in quote, had a challenge, their country were rejoicing that they would take his house from him. This comes after the singer and social media influencer Mona Furio was extradited to the United States for her alleged involvement in a $2 million romance scam targeting older single Americans. She faces 6 charges and has pleaded not guilty in a Manhattan federal court. Meanwhile, according to Ghana's Financial Intelligence Center, which is working in conjunction with Interpol and FBI on the case, all persons within the social and business network of the suspects are now persons of interest on the investigation. That ends it all for News at 12. My name is Nanaba Anan. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.